At the start of 2023, the Canadian government implemented a foreign buyer ban, and it was met with quite a bit of backlash throughout the real estate industry members over the last few months. And this ban effectively banned buyers from purchasing property in Canada if they were not a permanent resident or if they were not a Canadian citizen, with a few exceptions which were pretty ridiculous to me. And since January 1st, a lot of realtors and the Canadian Real Estate Association, among other groups, have been lobbying for changes to be made to this legislation, and as of March 27th, their efforts have proved successful. So getting right into it, as of March 27th, here are the new changes to the foreign buyer ban. So number one, they're enabling more work permit holders to purchase property while they're living in Canada. The amendments will allow those who hold a work permit or are authorized to work in Canada under the Immigration and Refugee Protection Regulations to purchase residential property. Work permit holders are eligible if they have 183 days or more of validity remaining on their work permit or work authorization at the time of purchase and have not purchased more than one residential property. And the current provisions based on tax filings and previous work history in the country are now being removed. And honestly, to me, this is a smart one. This was, in my opinion, a huge oversight back in January when they put this legislation in place originally. So moving on to number two, this legislation now does not apply to vacant land. Vacant land zoned for residential and mixed use can now be purchased by non-Canadians and used for any purpose by the purchaser, including residential development. So moving on to number three, this one is an exception for development purposes. This exception allows non-Canadians to purchase residential property for the purpose of development. The amendments also extend the exception currently applicable to publicly traded companies under the Act, to publicly traded entities formed under the laws of Canada or a province and controlled by a non-Canadian. So last one, moving on to number four, and this one is increasing the foreign control threshold for corporations. For purposes of the prohibition with regards to privately held corporations or privately held entities formed under the laws of Canada or a province and controlled by a non-Canadian, the control threshold has increased from 3% to 10%. Okay, so just before I get into my opinion about this one, if you're new here, my name is Andrew Stevens and I'm a realtor in Halifax and surrounding area. And if you'd like to book a call with me to chat about the Halifax real estate market, or if you're thinking about making a move in Halifax, you can reach out to me anytime through the calendar link below in my description at a time when it's convenient for you. So I personally think this is actually good news. I think it actually shows that the federal government realizes that they got some of these aspects of this foreign buyer ban wrong in January when it was originally implemented. Now, I wasn't in favor of the foreign buyer ban to begin with, and to be brutally honest with you, I think it's nuts. I really don't agree with it. And furthermore, I don't think this is something that was really going to help the Canadian real estate market as a whole, because these sales are such a small percentage of the total sales we're seeing across Canada annually right now. The biggest and most important change to me, in my opinion, is the first one, where we're now allowing temporary workers to purchase property in Canada. This will help companies bring in workers from out of country, and let's face it, this would be a deal killer for a lot of workers who are considering a position in Canada versus some other countries around the world. The banks have a ton of extra criteria they use to qualify buyers who are buying as a foreign buyer to Canada, and to me, if they qualify, they should be able to buy a home in Canada. In my opinion, if they're living here and working here and contributing to society here in our country, they should also have the right to benefit from home ownership as well. And in Canada, we are very pro-immigration, and I am very pro-immigration as well personally. And based on what I see in Halifax, I would suggest that we very much need immigration to keep flowing the way that it has been recently. And I just don't think it's right to bring people here, ask them to work here, tax them to death, ask them to help with our, brutal healthcare systems and so on, but not give them the benefit of owning a home if they qualify through the banks and they're able to purchase a property. I just don't see it as right. I think they should be able to qualify, and I think they should be able to purchase a property if they are working here and contributing to society here in our country. And the other one that I think makes a lot of sense is the exemption for development. So I really think that across the country, and especially in Halifax, we need development. So if people want to come in and develop and put housing units up, for example, I think that's obviously a good thing. We are in a huge supply deficit, so it will be really good to continue pushing developments as much as possible across the country, and especially here in Halifax, where our rental vacancy is less than 1% currently. Now, it's interesting because this announcement was very, very quietly made, and it was almost like the federal government didn't want to admit, hey, we messed this up. But it's great to see that the lobbying of the realtors and the lobbying of the Canadian Real Estate Association and other groups especially were heard, and now these changes have been made, and to me, they are all great changes. But I'm curious to hear what you think. Do you think that they got it right the first time with the foreign buyer ban? Do you think that the foreign buyer ban should have never been put on in the first place? Or do you think they got it right now that they made these new provisions to the act itself? So that's it for today. Just a quick video to keep you updated. And as always, if you have any questions about this or anything else Halifax real estate market related, you can reach out to me anytime in the calendar link below in my description, whenever you'd like to book a call or a meeting with me. And if you're still here watching, thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it, and have a great day.